Thanks for waiting for me. Back in the game, I had a couple setbacks, but you know what? I'm glad I finally made it. Glad to be here with everybody. So let's do this. First off, house cleaning. Thanks to BK from the Rockies who showed up on time, even though I was a few minutes late. And he always reminds people like, share, subscribe, and comment, because that's how our channel grows. Our channel has grown quite a bit recently. Part of it is due to, well, we talk about three big things here. We talk about world travel, not just my life in Brazil. We talk about social issues. We talk about money, my favorite subject, the most awesome thing in the world. Lately, my cryptocurrency investments have been doing well, and I've been talking about that. And I'm glad that so many of you have told your friends. Share this on Facebook. Share this on Twitter. That's how we grow. But on to today's subject. Now, this is something that there would be a lot of visual cues for, but unfortunately, I can't do the visuals because I don't know whether or not YouTube would label me a theft artist, or if even having the words to certain things are going to be wrong. I'm not sure. So here's what I can do. I'm going to give you a couple of references and pictures as we go. Stay with me. First, you see this? Some people get this shirt. The meanest, the prettiest, the baddest. It's one of my favorite tank tops. There is arguably one of the greatest movies of all time. The full title was Gordy's The Last Dragon. Now, the movie came out in 1980. You know what? I'm going to show you guys when this movie, came out. This movie came out when I was a kid. 1985, I was 7 or 8 years old. And this movie impacted a lot of people. Interestingly enough, it became what you call a cult classic that everybody watched, yet the professional ratings people gave it a 6.9 out of 10. The movie was awesome. It was a campy movie about a black kid named Bruce Leroy, played by an actor named Timac. That's Vanity. For people who don't know, Vanity was a major singer under Rick James, and she was just this sultry songstress. The movie is based around the glow. The glow is this thing that a warrior gets when he's reached that highest level of enlightenment. Let me say hello to a couple people that popped in and say hi to me. First, Uncle Adrunius, who's been ignoring my phone calls. And I'm going to say that $25 so that when you come down here to hang out with me, I'm going to spend that whole $25 with some orange juice, and I'm going to just tell you about yourself, about how you don't return phone calls. I'm going to make you drink that $25 with me while I'm telling you about how we're friends, but you're too busy because I'm hurt. 3D success. Peace to you too, brother. Let's do it like this. In this movie, it's a classic movie of the young wolf on the mountain, Timac. He's this handsome, charming, kind of goofy nerd kid who does nothing but study Kung Fu. And Vanity was, wait a minute. JBJ corrected him. Now, he said Vanity came up under Prince. I thought Vanity came up under hold on. Vanity, Prince. That's why I love you guys. If you catch me slipping on something, you got to correct me. Oh, son of a gun. I stand corrected. You're absolutely right. She came up. You're absolutely right. Look at that. Yep. Nasty Girl was her big album, her big song. And she started with Prince. Yep. You're right. Thank you for correcting me on that. Well, Bruce Leroy is the hero, and he is the good guy. He is the all-American black kid. His father runs a pizza stand. How you doing, brother? His father runs a pizza stand. He's got this sassy little brother, and all he does every day is practice Kung Fu. Now, while you're practicing Kung Fu, every warrior dreams of one day having something called the glow. The glow is the highest level of enlightenment and warrior spirit that you can have, and it causes your skin to glow with this. Think of it like having a lightsaber poured all over your body. That's the closest analogy I can give you. But the guy who has the glow right now, because as all good things are, there's only one man who can have the glow at a time. And the person that has the glow right now in the movie was a man named Shonuff. That's SHONUFF, played by the late actor Julius Carey. Thank you. You're right. Rick James had the Mary Jane girls. Thank you. Now, the thing about the glow is only one warrior can have it at a time. And look at that. He's just glowing with power. He has his own cult following. Now, here's the interesting thing about where this movie starts to mislead people and mislead people in general about life. And I found this is an interesting lesson because the lesson this teaches kids is that if you're the good guy, you'll always win because good guys just win. Oh, kiss my Converse is one of his famous lines. Kiss my Converse. So here's what ends up happening. Of course, you go through all the fight sequences. Ty-Mac is getting his butt kicked. Here, look, Ty-Mac is actually wearing the famous Bruce Lee one piece. And at the end of the movie, he's just getting waffle stomped by Ty-Mac getting just the crap beaten out of him by Shonuff. But here's what ends up happening. As Shonuff is dunking his head in this water, and every time he pulls him out, he would say, "Who's the master?" And he'd go to punch him in the face. And he would dunk his head in the water, and he'd come out and say, "Who's the master?" Bang, he would punch him in the face. And so finally on the last part, it's slow motions, and he says, "I am." Now, just by saying the words, "I am the master," Shonuff's glow starts to short out like a bad light bulb. And Bruce Leroy starts to have that liquid glow. And he catches his fist. And he says, "I am." And he crunches his knuckles. And the fight turns, and he's just beating the crap out of Shonuff. And this is where it becomes a terrible example for children. Not that violence is, it's a campy kung fu movie. It's not true violence. Nobody's head explodes. I mean, but the lesson that it gave kids is that no matter who you are, no matter how many decades of practice you have, the good guy always wins. Now, see, in this movie, they made it very clear that Bruce Leroy ran a traditional martial arts academy with lots of great students. Good afternoon. Yeah, he was the official for his Super Saiyan. You're right. So what ends up happening is he just starts winning. He just starts winning the fight because he's a good guy. And when he says, "Who's the master?" he says, "I am." Well, where did that come from? Here's a kid who's easily 15 years younger than the master, who runs a traditional martial arts academy. Yet contrast that with Shonuff, who they show in a true mixed martial arts UFC style fight, actually winning, beating the stuffing out of other fighters. And it gets it into your head that if you see the bad guy, no matter how much longer than you he's practiced, no matter how successful he is, because he's the bad guy, he shouldn't be your hero and your role model. Now, let me be clear. I'm not telling you to idolize bad guys. What I'm saying is choose your mentors carefully, because when we start to idolize the good guys, we tend to idolize them for the wrong reasons. We tend to idolize the good guys not because they're the guys who train the most, not because they're the guys who deserve it, but just because they're the good guy. You know, they should win. Instead, we should say, who in this fight has the most experience? Who worked harder? Maybe Bruce Leroy in the real world, he would have gotten curb stomped. He would have probably had to go back to the lab, train for a few more years. The title might have changed hands before he got back there. But he couldn't have beaten the man who trained harder. See, what I found in life, and this is one of those lessons as you become a man, you know, hopefully you have older men to teach you. The world really doesn't care that much about whether you're the good guy or the bad guy. They care whether or not you're the accomplished man. Let me be clear. I am not advocating being a bad guy, but I'm also not advocating idolizing good guys just because they're good. Idolize the man who got what he wanted because he worked for it. I've learned that people often talk about how they don't like the bad guys, how the bad guys are terrible, and they eschew the bad guy and they say bad things about the bad guy. But when shit gets ugly, People rarely turn to the squeaky clean, white collar, white hat, squeaky good guy. They go to the guy with a black hat. Because when the monster jumps through the window, you want the guy who shoots for the face and the heart, not the guy who's looking for a gentle takedown and hold him into a stockade until the stockade is actually a catch wrestling position. Let me show you, because I don't want you thinking I'm talking about an actual stockade. What I'm saying is you want the guy that goes for the kill shot, not the guy that goes for the immobilization. I'm going to show you what a stockade is. And here we go. It's a catch wrestling move. Brock Lesnar did this in the UFC. Here you go. It's a move you can use to hold someone down. It's pretty painful, but it's not going to it's not going to kill him. Can you guys see this picture? How he's got one arm behind both of his shoulders. See, that's what Bruce Leroy would have done. He would have held the monster down, put him in a stockade, and said, we're going to call the cops. Sho'nuff is the guy you want to stand behind because he's trained in the art of violence. He knows what it's like to take a punch. He knows what it's like to take a beating. And he knows how to deliver one. See, that's what experience does for you. And at the end, they would have said, oh, he was the bad guy. Again, the woman vanity, right? Here's a hard lesson you learn as a kid. Remember vanity we talked about in The Last Dragon? Let's see, vanity. I'm gonna get some good pictures of her. Last Dragon, who came up under Prince. In the fiction universe that you are taught as a young man, you're taught that this girl ends up with, here's a great example, ends up with that guy because he's the nice guy. Don't work that way. I'm fortunate that I had any concepts of women wanting the noble virtues and the men that they choose to open their hearts and legs for. I had that beaten out of me as a very young man, so I never had to go through that stage a lot of my friends went through when they were 30 or 40, realizing that no, that guy Sho'nuff, he's probably the guy she was going to end up with. She would call Bruce Leroy when she needed a man to sacrifice himself for her, fix that flat tire. But Sho'nuff is the guy she goes to when she gets home and calls him and says, I'm sorry, I'm late. I had a flat tire. Leroy fixed it. I'll be right over. I'm going to let you guys, if anybody wants to get mad, you can catch me in the comments. Let me just let that soak in. Just let that soak in. All right, boa tarde. And where I'm going with this, and again, I'm going to say it for the third time, I'm not telling people to idolize who the bad guy is. But what I'm saying is when we watch these movies and we look and compare these things with the lessons we learn in life, we're often not able to really articulate unpleasant truths. That unpleasant truth that the good guys don't win because they're good. Now, you can have a good guy who does just as much work as the bad guy and he wins. But generally that guy who says, I want to succeed at all costs for myself, my family, and my team. That's the person that usually gets the most out of life. When I tell you selfishly says I'm going to do the most for myself, then my family, and then my team, I don't mean breaking the law. I don't mean harming innocents. But it's that guy that says, I'm okay if you don't like me because I'm stuck up and I don't want to do the things that you're doing that are bad for your body. I'm okay with people saying, Wateef, don't you need to be liked in the world? Actually, you don't. I've learned, and this is something I'm fortunate, I had all notions of innocence about the way the world worked beaten out of me very young. I've learned, I've seen, and I understand better to be the man that's respected than the guy who's liked. Because people can like you or dislike you for whatever. But when they look at your experience, when they look at what you've done, when they look at your track record, when they pull your file and say, this guy, I don't necessarily like him, but we should probably hire Wateef because looking at his track record, he gets it done. Stop the show. Let me give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't know, besides cryptocurrency, one of the things that I've really Oi, como vai? One of the things that I've done professionally. I've developed an expat relocation services company. I help people who want to come to Brazil legally, who need business done in Brazil legally, get it done. I'm going to show you something. I don't want you to look at my resume. My resume is fun. It's great. It's all that other good stuff. Yay. It talks about what I've done and getting people their Brazilian visas and their Brazilian social security numbers. I want you to go down here. I want you to go down to this part down here where it shows recommendations. This is what saves my ass. I am often a very stern person. I've been called humorless. I've been called too rigid, especially by my own clients. I have clients who don't like me because when I say we need to do this at this time, they're like, but, and I say, no, this has to be done at this time. But I'm paying you. Why are you talking to me like that? Talking to you like what? I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not swearing, but you're paying me to accomplish a goal for you. And I understand this paperwork needs to be done here, here, and here. And they step back and they think, well, you know what? There's probably somebody nicer I could hire, but probably not somebody with YusefWateef's resume. Brother Brent Allen, good afternoon from Sao Paulo. I'm looking forward to you coming down here. We can catch some music together, brother. And so what I really want you to focus on is, first, you got to go watch this movie, The Last Dragon. Greatest movie ever. You got to go watch this movie. Second, when we watch movies where the good guy wins, let's really analyze, why does the good guy win? Is the good guy that guy who did just as many push-ups, just as many deadlifts, just as many squats, just as many overhead presses, just as many dumbbell rows, just as many bench presses, just as many curls as the bad guy? And then went out to challenge the bad guy? Be it chess, fighting, a yoga contest, and says, I'm going to win today. I'm going to become the guy who gets the glow. Or do they paint the good guy as a guy who wins? And by win, I don't just mean win the glow. I mean win the girl. I mean win the respect. I mean win the admiration, win the students in school. Did he do it because he was qualified? Or just because he was a nice guy? Look for the people who are qualified. If we can just acknowledge in ourselves that every now and then we may have to get around some rough edges to deal with the most qualified. Okay, você mais gosta aqui em São Paulo? That's going to be a different show. We'll do that outro dia. Where was I? I was rambling. Okay, I'm back. We need to really analyze whether or not we want to fall into the camp of people who are going to look at the guys who we idolize, or more importantly, who we choose as mentors, and say, I want the mentor that everybody likes. I want the mentor that everyone, and by the way, being liked is a huge advantage. A lot of people don't like me. I freely admit that my financial success in the business that I've had has been because I'm really good at my job. I'm not that good at being liked. I'm a bit of a stick in the mud, and I understand that about myself. So I've had to overcompensate. But I'm also fortunate to have been recognized by other successful men who are respected by men, as saying, I'm going to do this business with you, but then maybe I'm going to also show you how you can sand off some of those edges. But they never let those stern edges stop them from making money with me, doing things with me. I've really wanted to get this off my chest for a while because I had another situation come up in one of my social circles. And I had been thinking about this movie for a while again. I actually had the DVD with the director's cut where the director talks over every scene. Interestingly enough, did you know, hold on, the actor Julius Carey had absolutely no fight training at all. Ty-Mac had been a martial artist and dancer and aged well, amazingly successful. He had no martial arts experience. So he had to act his way through knowing how to fight. He also played, now I don't know if anybody's gonna go with me on this. Stay with me. I'm going in the bag on this one. Lord Bowler, Briscoe County. Briscoe County Jr. with a short-lived television show. And he was Lord Bowler. I don't know if anybody remembers. It was a campy show. It was go download some episodes of it. It was called The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. And who can hold on, let me get a close-up on this. Let me get a close-up on who his co-star was. So let's see if you know who that guy is? That's Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead. He had a short-lived show, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. His name was Briscoe County, and he was a junior, and his partner was Lord Bowler because of the hat he wore with a bowler hat. Yeah, you got that part. So listen, for the fourth time, I'm not advocating that we idolize the bad guy. What I'm saying is that when we choose our mentors, when we choose people we do business with, let's not give too much credit to the good guy because he's good. Let's give credit to the people who did the hard work and realize the only place where the good guy wins because he's a good guy is in the movies. In the real world, it doesn't work that way. Let me recap. In the real world, the girl Vanity in The Last Dragon would have ended up with Sho'nuff. In the real world, when Bruce Leroy went head to head, whereas my friends from Baltimore, they call it shoot a fair one. Two guys just decide to just throw hammers and knuckle down. He would have beaten the ever-living daylights out of Bruce Leroy. Here's this kid with no practical fighting experience and minimum 15 years less experience in martial arts in general, going up against a man in his physical 40s prime of a fighter, those mid to late 30s when a guy has that combination of physical power and technique. But that's why they call it a fiction. That's why it's a fantasy. That's why I still watch the movie. I still love the movie. It was a great part of my childhood. Was watching that movie. Every couple of years, you hear people talking about doing the movie again. I know that Samuel L. Jackson had been in talks to be the new Sho'nuff. That would have been awesome. But I say that to say this. Think long and hard about where you're going to put your cookies. When you decide who you're going to be with the guy with the experience, be with the guy who you want to stand behind when the monster jumps through the window. We're usually not the most pleasant. We're usually used to being the guys they say, oh, well, he's not a nice person. All he does is look out for the people on his team. But when you're on our team, oh man, it's great. When you're on our team, get on my team. Get on my team. Before I go, let me show you something else. When I talk about get on my team, one of the things that I've been able to do is I have a Patreon group. And I'll put the link here. And I tell people this all the time. My Patreon group is less fun, more business. This is where we talk about where we make money, how we make money, how we travel the world, business opportunities that we've come across. I've put together a great team. I've always wanted to say that. I put a team together. I put together a great team of people who have become resources for each other. Everybody here is welcome to join. I will put it here up on the screen. There's the link coming up. And here is there we go. I won't go through the reading of what every section is, but I will tell you, you should definitely take a look, read it. If the things that I do here that are a lot of fun, this is where I go into the deeper details, how we build businesses together, how we travel internationally, what cryptocurrency things we're dealing with. These are for the places, these are for the people who want things that you wouldn't watch on a YouTube channel. It'll be a lot less fun. It'll be boring. It'll be very boring for people because most people come here for enjoyment, and I'm glad to provide that to you. Like I said, please share this channel. Make it a point to put this on your Facebook. Make it a point to put this on your Twitter. We've grown tremendously. Oh, well, thank you. Both of you. Obrigado. And this also tells me eu preciso mais videos no Portuguese. I need to start doing more videos in Portuguese. And that's going to be scary. All right. I'll talk to y'all later.